Welcome back. Today's podcast is called Rookie to Pro, 8 Steps to Become a Real Estate Rockstar. Now, when we were writing these notes for you, we did not write these notes just primarily focusing on brand new agents, becoming full-time agents or becoming superstar agents. We wrote these notes for everyone because, frankly, in a market like this, everyone is having to hit hard reset and going back to square one, whether you want to or not, and relearn the things you should have learned in the first place. And before we get to our first point, I want to start out by asking Julie to tell you a story about, she's looking at me funny because guess what? I didn't prepare her for this. Julie, I want you to tell them a story about your professional music career in piano, okay, and how you did not realize how many hacks and how many shortcuts had essentially been incorporated into your piano playing until you actually hired somebody that was an off-the-charts professional to teach you how to play piano.
All right, and I'll try to make this not too long, but as a kid growing up, I was primarily a flute player, and I was in marching band and orchestras and, ended up being semi-professional. I played in lots of cool stuff. But as I was coming up, I was, of course, taking flute lessons from my main teacher, and she would do piano lessons as well. As a kid, it never occurred to me that, maybe she wasn't mainly a piano teacher.
I have to jump in here. Yeah. I cannot let the low-hanging fruit easy joke get by me.
Yes.
So, yes.
One time in band camp.
Yes, exactly. You guys heard her say it because, yes, her name is Julie. And yes, she did go to band camp.
I actually ran band camp, so it's even worse.
Okay, so there you go. So for those of you who are thinking what I was thinking from American Pie, yes, now we all get to have a good chuckle at Julie's expense.
Very funny. But anyway, back to the moral of the story is I took both flute and piano lessons for years, and it wasn't until I think I was probably 30 or so going back to getting serious about playing piano. Piano, by the way, is far harder than pretty much every other instrument. It's more going on, etc., more things to read. But it wasn't until later when I decided, all right, if I'm going to get serious about piano, I'm going to hire an actual pianist, like somebody who went to Juilliard, who stars in Cirque du Soleil.
Let's give some color to this. So at the time, we were living in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And we had a condo that was basically on the Strip. And Julie there was a room in this condo where, we bought a baby grand piano. She set the whole thing up to actually finally go back and really, truly learn how to play piano at the highest level. Now, why am I telling you all this extra detail? Because I want you to visualize Julie, who was, let's be honest, she was somewhat of a cocky musician at this point because she was, getting different opportunities and playing different things because
because of piano, but because of flute.
Right, flute and piccolo. And so she was at a point in her flute and piccolo playing career where she had reached a level of conscious competence. You were at the,
for sure.
Yeah, so she didn't have to think about what she was going to do when it came to playing virtually anything on the flute and piccolo. So now she had to go back and put herself in a position where she was going to feel vulnerable, where she was going to have to essentially go back to the point of, frankly, making it so that she did not, she was going to have no confidence. Quite the exact opposite. She may have even been embarrassed.
Well, and in fact, I had no idea to what degree because I had a lot of music confidence, but not so much piano confidence. Now, I could get around, I could play some pretty cool pieces, but not in the way that perhaps they were supposed to be played, because when you learn from somebody who is an actual expert...
Give the details, though. Why you learned wrong.
Well, because the teacher that I had been trusting and because of myself and because I had reasonable success, I didn't realize all of the workarounds and the hacks and the things that I did that were incorrect that actually made my life way more complicated than it had to be.
Because she was a flute and piccolo teacher.
Not really a piano teacher.
Not a piano teacher, but when you're learning music, everyone starts out with a piano because that's how you actually learn how to read music for the most part. I'm not a musician. Am I saying all this correctly?
No, you're saying that. It's like hiring somebody who has a business background but doesn't have a real estate license. That's basically what it gets to.
That's what she experienced. So she did not realize that she was learning piano from someone who was not really a piano teacher. Like some of you are learning how to, sell real estate from someone who's never sold real estate before.
You're learning on TikTok. Basically, I learned piano on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. Before TikTok.
Before that. Okay, and so how did that manifest itself? It manifested itself by things like, I won't get too technical piano on you, but my scales, maybe my fingering was not exactly right, which translated to trying to learn something that was scale based on a really complicated piece. I either didn't know how to do it, or my method of doing it was not correct in the sense where I couldn't play as quickly, I couldn't play as accurately, I couldn't play as enthusiastically because what I was doing technically was incorrect, based on years of misprogramming.
So you didn't know when you were trying...
I didn't know what I didn't know.
You didn't know what you didn't know, and you were going out and you were trying to learn, you were trying to play piano. Sometimes the opportunity would come up for you to play piano in a semi-professional environment, and you did not have the skill set, and you did not know why you didn't have the skill set. And years had passed while you're playing the flute and the piccolo, wondering why you couldn't play the piano as well, not knowing it's because you essentially were not taught to play piano by somebody who actually should have been teaching you how to play piano in the first place.
Exactly. And why does that matter? It matters who you're paying attention to. It matters who you're getting your education from. I think part of the issue is sometimes people that you're paying attention to, and I think that this is more prevalent online probably, they can have a lot of enthusiasm for what they're misteaching you. They can have a lot of confidence about what they're saying, which makes it easier for you to believe that that's what you should be doing.
Well, so again, the original sin was perhaps that your parents, when hiring the ladies,
they wouldn't have known. Right?
Well, exactly. But that's my point, though. Exactly. So she presented herself as a music teacher, flute and piccolo. I also do piano. Her parents probably didn't go and check her resume. They probably said, well, she teaches flute and piano for the neighbor's girl, so she must be good enough. And they didn't go and deep dive to find out and discover the fact that this gal definitely did not know how to teach piano at the same level she knew how to teach flute and piccolo. Again, this relates exactly to you when you're listening to people on all the different, platforms for getting advice. You're not qualifying who you're actually listening to. And you're hearing somebody with great levels of energy and enthusiasm give you really shitty advice. And you don't know it because you're not taking the time to actually check them out. In social media, Instagram, all of them, there are so many people who have never really sold real estate at a high level, never sold real estate for a long period of time.
Probably never been licensed.
Yeah, but some cases, who are pretty damn good at creating some entertaining social media content that would fool you into believing they knew what they were talking about. And as a result of that, just like, Julie, you may have had years go by with essentially not knowing what you didn't know, and you only find out what you don't know when you lose. Now, I want you to think about what I said. In real estate, it's considered normal to go on 10 listing appointments and only take 5. When you become a premier coaching client of ours, that is an absolutely ridiculously horrible even thought to have. You should be taking 10 out of 10. I realize you won't take 10 out of 10, but you should at least be taking 9.
We coach you to, though.
Right, we coach you to. The expectation is we expect you to take 10 out of 10. You might take 9 out of 10 for some reason. But the point is 5 out of 10 is failing. And some of you have come up through your careers. This is the reason I said this podcast isn't just for rookie agents. Some of you have come up and you've incorporated things into your career and your way of thinking and your approaches to the whole real estate industry. It's full of hacks and you just don't know it. And it's in a market like this where the skills-based agents start dominating the market that you realize you need to be willing to go back and put yourself in the position that Julie was. So finish telling the story. You hired...
Raja is his name, who not only went to Juilliard, graduated from Juilliard, and has been teaching for many years, but also has a very successful performance career. So, because, there are people who are just good teachers, but he's actually living the lifestyle. Okay. So he's clearly very successful on a totally different level.
For Cirque du Soleil,
yes,
he actually had
his own act
where he was playing the piano.
Yes.
And he was traveling all over the world
with different Cirque du Soleils.
And so he wasn't showing up at our house to give the piano lesson.
We would do some virtual stuff.
Exactly. And so this is what I'm talking about. And it's during those lessons that I'd never seen Julie struggle in real estate, just being honest with you. She would have her ass handed to her.
I was so frustrated. And so here's the thing, and this will segue nicely into our intro into the 8 steps to become a real estate rock star. What I didn't realize is that for years I had actually been practicing mistakes.
Yes.
I had been practicing incorrectly. I had done things that I didn't even realize were making it so much harder on me. It wasn't until somebody, and it took like 2 lessons for him to see what I was doing. He'd be like, where'd you learn that? Where'd you come up with that one? Why don't you do this? And then he would do it. And I was like, oh, dear God, that would have made things a lot easier over the years, over decades, And so it's a case of not knowing what you don't know until you get very serious about it. And then this is all correctable, right? With many challenging lessons of frustration, I did learn so much, and it is correctable just as it is in real estate. But you want to try to avoid that as early in your career as possible by not practicing things that are not going to serve you long term.
So you weren't 30, you were probably 35.
Could be.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so hats off to you being willing to put yourself in a position where you were essentially, so vulnerable. And,
well, I went right back to conscious incompetence.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Not very many people are willing to do that.
Yeah.
But a market like this demands that you put yourself back in that stage of essentially admitting that you don't know anything or admitting that you don't know what you think you knew.
Well, that's right. And here's the thing, grain of salt with this, because Raja didn't have to reprogram everything I was doing. I was reading music correctly. I had a lot of the technicality correctly, a lot of the phraseology correctly, but some of the things that he was doing, I had to be reprogrammed on. Just like you, when you listen to this 2-part series, you're going to hear things that are like, okay, I'm good with that, but oh my gosh, I've got to go back and relearn that. So it's not that you need complete reprogramming, but you do have to pay attention to your practice, which leads me to the intro to our 2-part series. Tim, before I get going on this, how can they find the notes?
Oh, thank you. Yes, real quick. HarrisRealEstateDaily.com, HarrisRealEstateDaily.com. The subscription is free, takes like 5 seconds to join. The link is down below, or you can just go to HarrisRealEstateDaily.com. It is our daily newsletter where all of our show notes and a lot of other content is waiting for you. HarrisRealEstateDaily.com. Julie, let's roll in.
All right. So I was just talking about practicing piano, but have you ever wondered why it's called a real estate practice? Picture real estate as the ultimate sports arena. Let's get you out of music land for a second. Agents are like seasoned athletes, always training, strategizing, and refining their techniques. The market is their playing field, unpredictable and full of challenges. Sound familiar? Like athletes, real estate professionals must stay in top form, learning new plays and adapting to the game's ever-changing dynamics. It's all about practice. It's about skill and perseverance, ensuring that you're ready to score big for your clients and for yourself. That's why it's called your practice. Now, the more clients you help to achieve their goals, the faster you'll achieve your own. So, how can you improve your real estate practice? What steps can you take to reach the next level faster? What should you be practicing in your real estate business? You can deploy the following steps today to move the needle faster. And again, this is a 2-part series. So for the deep dive, you'll need to join Premier Coaching, of course, because there's only so much we can do even on 2 podcasts. You can do that for free today, even while you're listening to this podcast.
So scroll down below, click the link, premiercoaching.com, or click the link below and you can join right away. All right, Julie, part 1.
Yes, and by the way, none of our points on today or tomorrow are going to cost you any money. It's just going to cost you effort and time and concentration.
By the way, that's a recurring theme for everything you learn on this podcast. It's practical, tactical advice. We're not trying to get you guys to sign up for lead generation, expensive CRMs, expensive drip campaigns, branding, marketing. These are all things because you need to make money now. You need to make money now more than ever, and that's what today's show and really all of our podcasts are about.
All right, there's a lot to point number 1, so make sure you grab the notes. Point number 1, know your market inside and out. We're talking about being better at your practice. Know your market inside and out. Study it relentlessly daily. Know it better than anyone else. Building your knowledge and becoming a specialist takes 30 minutes each day. Knowledge equals confidence and ignorance equals fear. The more you know, the more confidence you'll have to actually speak about real estate. Remember, secret agents have skinny kids.
Well, knowing your market also gives you a sense of control and calm because you know exactly like, oh my gosh, my 5 listings, like we have agents in certain markets where listings are standing on the market for like 60, 90 days, in some cases even longer. And, they're hiring us for the first time because they've never had experience with standing inventory. And so we're explaining to them how to go into the MLS, find out what's going on, actually know what's going on in the marketplace because knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. And when they do it and they realize that maybe they're not doing as great as they could have been, these are the ways they can improve, they're feeling more confident because, their listing is taking, 60 days to sell and the competing listings are taking 75 days to sell. That's something to be proud of. All those types of things. But if you live without the knowledge of what's truly happening in your market, you are going to feel fearful constantly because you're going to be out of control. And also part of your market's not going to, the new construction and whatnot, which in many markets does control what's actually happening even with resale.
That's very well said. And the thing is that knowing your market really does affect pretty much everything you do and you say and how you set expectations for both yourself and your clients, both on the buyer and seller side. So this is all still point number 1. Choose a big enough area to know. Remember, the point is know your market inside and out. Choose a big enough area to know without trying to learn your entire town. Focus on desirable areas that turn over at a reasonable rate, have low average days on the market, at least compared to your bigger market, and a good average sale price.
You're saying if you're trying to choose a market to really drill down on?
Yes.
Yeah, so focus on obviously an area where there's a high sale price, ideally, and also where there's turnover. Because you can have a high sale price, but the houses never go for sale or rarely go for sale. And also look for an area, frankly, if I were selling, Julie and I were selling real estate again, we would definitely look for an area where there's competing new construction, because that creates more sales velocity from people in resale that want to buy a new home. And then you can usually do multiple transactions.
That's definitely true. And note to self, this may or may not be where you live or where your office is. So don't assume that just because you naturally know your own neighborhood backwards and forwards, or where you grew up, or your favorite neighborhood, maybe it doesn't have all those criteria.
Well, when we sold real estate, those of you in Columbus, Ohio, we have a lot of Buckeyes as podcast listeners. We started out selling in 43214 and 43085, a little bit in 430652. And we were driving out around New Albany one day, and we realized that, you know, there's a huge market out here that's maybe 30 minutes from those zip codes, where the average sale price at the time was around $1 million. And our average sale price at that time, you know, it was not $1 million. It was less than $1 million.
And it also had lots of new construction.
Right. The new area with the more expensive homes. And we said, well, you know what? It makes more sense for us to actually focus on a more expensive area where there isn't an embedded, aren't realtors that are been there for 40 years, where you can go out there essentially, we can become the dominant agents. And that's what we did. So we'd strongly encourage you, if given the opportunity, you sell real estate, even if it's not your market, in an area where the sale price is going to be more. If you're living in a rural community, that's going to be hard. You're going to have to learn how to, have a little bit more of a diversity of skill set, knowing how to sell land and farms and ranches and all the rest of it, which we teach you in Premier Coaching.
Yes. Now, once you've determined what are the areas that you're going to become an all-out expert at, call your MLS to set up a custom daily hot sheet for those areas and review the report daily. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes.
Call your MLS?
Yes.
You mean call?
Well, yes, there are people at the MLS that will set you up with a custom hot daily sheet.
You can do it online.
You would think so. I've had agents tell me they can't figure it out. So if you get stuck.
The agents can?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
This is like a foreign thing.
So they're calling your MLS, asking for tech support, telling them to do it for them?
Basically, yes.
Oh, there you go.
So if you get stuck, don't give up. Once you set it up, it's going to be sent to your email automatically. So make sure that you mark it not spam, and you read it every day for 5 minutes a day.
But you have to know how to interpret the data. Obviously the easy buttons are list price, sale price, days in the market. You want to know how to figure out absorption. You want to know how to figure out, all that stuff. So stay tuned.
Yes. Okay. So further customize your reports and supplement those reports from your MLS using Altos Research and List Reports. Read their short reports daily. Again, 5 minutes a piece. Supplement with your monthly Board of Realtors reports. Some of the boards only do quarterly. Some of them are monthly. You can use all of this information for your own newsletter, your social media posts, prospecting calls, and daily conversation about real estate. Always know the following. Tim just laid out some of this. What are you studying? How are you practicing here? Is inventory increasing or decreasing in your market or in the markets you're studying? What's hot and what's not? Where are all the price reductions happening? What's the average sale price in the areas you work in? What's the list to sell price ratio? Competing offers or price reductions, or is it a mixture of both?
By the way, price reductions don't really mean jack in a market like this. Oh my gosh, Tim, what are you talking about? Price reductions means the sky's falling. No, it doesn't.
There's a lot of reporting on that, by the way.
Oh, but it's misreporting. It's all this salacious headline garbage that basically proliferates everything. Here's the bottom line. You could be selling in a resale area primarily where there's price reductions that are starting to happen. Now, remember, nationally, I know there's no such thing as a national housing market, so you'll have to know your own ratios as far as what the year-over-year inflation or appreciation has been, but it's over 6%. So in all probability, if you're in a community where there's price reductions, those people still are sitting on monster equity and have had monster appreciation or inflation in the last 12 months. And so what if they started out a little overpriced? Big deal. Sellers have always been greedy and always will be greedy. Such is the way. Who cares if they have to adjust the price? It doesn't mean jack.
Yes. And in fact, the historical average, no matter what kind of market it is, buyer's market, seller's market, up, down, interest rates, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even really matter where in the country you are. Historically, before a home sells, most 25 to 35% of listings do have at least one price reduction before they sell. That's normal. Why? Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but pricing is not a hard science. maybe you're off by 5%. That even with the best comps, you can still be a little bit mispriced.
Can I tell them a funny story?
Sure.
Or a fun story?
Sure.
All right, so Julie and I had a lot of coaching clients in this area called Palm Desert. Those out you in California, you know what I'm talking about. And so there was this particular community where one of our listing agents, one of our coaching clients, had a lot of listings. And this person wasn't, so there was a neighborhood brokerage which took a majority of the listings, but this agent in particular was very good at, frankly, picking off the expireds and competing with those existing or those other listing agents that work for I'll call it the builder's real estate brokerage. I gave you way too much information there, but just follow along with me.
Sure.
So what the builder's real estate brokerage decided to do was pull all their listings off for like 90 days. And then essentially trickle them back on the market at higher prices. And this was in a market where the prices were falling. Now, why did they do that? And our coaching client ended up doing the same thing. Because the perception was there was too many homes for sale. And then the buyers were all starting to say, well, with all these homes for sale, I'm going to start lowballing. And they started to see these, I think, uncharacteristically and inappropriately low prices or offers on these houses. So they just decided to summarily pull them all off the market and then just trickle them back on the market. So there was always constrained supply. And by the way, that is what happens in the upper end housing markets. And if you're in an upper end housing market, that might be a good idea for you too. That way you can control the narrative about the trajectory of that particular community.
Yes, absolutely. And that also proves that not everybody is an all-out pricing expert, even if you're pretty good at it. And I do think that it gets harder and more convoluted the higher up you go, because when you get into really high-end luxury homes where there really aren't any exact comps, and whether you're super customized or not, and what your view is, if you're on the water, not on the water.
Well, let's give this example.
All that kind of stuff.
We're looking at our back window right now, and across the field, let's call it, there's a house for sale that originally went for sale. It's new construction. They put it for sale back when it was just a big pile of dirt, and they listed it for, this number is ridiculous, get ready, $17 million. Mm-hmm. Now it's now probably 50% done, and from what I understand, they still haven't sold it. And so what they do, they raised the price to $21 million. Now, did their prices go up by that much in the intervening months? Probably not. What they're doing is they're going to raise the price because that makes it so that it's even, like, they're making the perception that there's no fire sale here. We're actually able to raise the price. We have that level of control. That's what they do in the upper end real estate markets.
Especially with development.
Yes, especially with development.
Yes. So pricing is difficult for everyone. Okay. So know what's driving sales in your market. Are companies hiring or firing? Are the schools improving or are they declining? Who are the developers and what are they developing? You can get a lot of this from your local real estate news. You can set up a Google search for real estate in the communities that you're studying. Again, this is all point number one, being an expert of what you are selling. Is there new is there new construction in your market? If so, where is it? What are the price ranges? Do the builders have special financing? You'll find yourself far more likely to talk about real estate with your friends and your neighbors in line at the bank or at the grocery and at your kid's baseball game once you have more to actually talk about.
That last bit Julie just said with regards to builders and special financing, you guys have to have that knowledge in your back pockets, because 100% of the time, new construction with lower interest rates is going to kick the ass of resale.
Yep.
There are obviously some exceptions, but just assume that's true. So if you're seeing, for example, back to the local neighborhood in your community where you're seeing people do price adjustments, if you did a little bit more investigation, you're going to find that there's a, D.R. Horton or one of these big, frankly, very well, great builders. Mm-hmm. What they're doing is they're offering homes that are even more expensive than the resale, but the monthly payments are lower because they're buying down the interest rates. So you have to know all of this stuff. Knowledge equals confidence. Ignorance equals fear, especially in the minds of your prospective buyers and sellers.
And that one micro point underneath the big point number one, knowing about new construction and what the builders are doing on financing, that by itself can wreck your resale listings.
Oh, yeah.
It can add to days on the market. It can cause you to have an expired on your hands. It can cause your multiple price reductions. You could be out of the gates way overpriced. If you don't know what you're competing with regards to new construction and what the builders are doing financing-wise, you're at a huge disadvantage.
And by the way, we've done lots of podcasts and training and premier coaching about how you can actually be competitive with builders that are buying down rates. Hint, you can do the same damn thing. Listen to our podcast, become a premier coaching client.
That's right. And remember, we're talking about knowledge equals confidence. The more you know, the more likely you are to talk about real estate. 87% of buyers and sellers transact with the first agent they speak with. Make sure you're that agent.
And speak with as in belly to belly, face to face.
And competently.
Not speak with as in, digitally or your drip campaign. So that's the reason open houses have become so powerful, and all the other things we show you guys how to master in Premier Coaching.
All right, so point number 2, we're talking about improving your real estate practice. Just as you have to know about your market, you also have to know something about mortgages. Not as important in previous years. Everybody did a 30-year fixed with a 3%, 3.5%. You didn't have to know anything, but now you do. You don't have to know what your favorite loan originator knows, but you do need to know enough to advise your clients about different types of loans and which lenders might be the best match for them. So, and again, you can get the notes. I'm going to go through these quickly. What should you know? Again, you don't have to be a loan originator, although some of you listening are. What should you know? What's today's mortgage interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage? What are the adjustable rate mortgage rates? What's a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down? And by the way, we recently did a podcast about all this. How can someone pay points to buy down and lock in a lower 30-year rate, even if it's not through new construction? What is a portfolio loan and who should utilize one? And what are builders in your market offering regarding mortgage loans? Now, those are just basic things that you should have at your fingertips. It's okay if you put those in the notes of your smartphone. You've got to pay attention to this virtually daily. In addition to that, with regards to mortgages, have at least 4 different mortgage lenders for different types of clients. One for first-time buyers, one for standard issue move up and move down buyers, one for higher-end executive types, and one with portfolio loans for people like the self-employed.
Now, that's important what you just said, because here's the thing that some of you guys are going to unfortunately learn the hard way. So you could have a lender that you're working with that just specializes, the person plays a lot of golf, they belong to a lot of different clubs. That's the lender that you want to send your upper end clients to. Now, if you send a first time buyer to that upper end lender, that upper end lender is probably not going to, frankly, have all the mortgage products. They're not going to know about VA. They're not going to know about FHA as the one that specializes in first time buyers. First time buyer lender could also be someone that specializes in the Govy type loans. So you do have more than one lender. Don't believe a lender until they've proven otherwise that they can do more than one type of loan, because they might have the products, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good personality and skills match to the type of clients. Hopefully you understand what I said. Oh, you don't need more than one lender. Bob can do it all. I do, luxury. I do, jumbo, super jumbo. I do VA. I do FHA. Well, Hey,
Unlikely.
Bob, what are most of the loans you've done? Well, most of the loans I've done have been about $400,000. They've been, these types of 30-year fixed mortgages and whatever. Okay, that's where Bob's skill set is. That would be a good move up or move down type lender. But, Bob didn't do any luxury real estate. So if you have somebody that wants to buy and needs a jumbo mortgage and you send them to Bob might have the product, but he's not going to really mesh with that prospective buyer, or maybe they're listing in a buyer too. Why does that matter? Because old Bob could actually cost you the deal. He could actually make it so that client goes sour on you because the lender did not do the job that they would have. Julie referred me to Bob, and Julie's great. I want to use Julie, but man, this Bob guy, he's no bueno. So maybe that's a bad representation of the future experience I'll have if I decide to work with Julie. You guys get it? So you have to be really conscientious of all the things that we're telling you.
Yes, and remember too that the mortgage crowd, and we love all of you mortgage lenders listening, and some of you are getting your real estate licenses, and you're certainly welcome in Premier Coaching. But remember that a lot of the mortgage guys and gals, they too, just like you, are having to upgrade their skill set and learn about a whole bunch of different types of products and services that they really didn't have to deal with back when rates were so low, and they were either doing tons of refinances or tons of purchase loans. So keep that in mind, and have coffee with each lender at least once per month and ask who they've just pre-qualified and who needs an agent. Ask them what their best products are and why. So that's all about mortgages at point number 2. And our last point for today, because this is a 2-part series, is practice pricing property and get great at it. We've had several different podcasts all about pricing, and we do focus on pricing a lot in Premier Coaching. This is a key skill to practice regularly, not just when you have a new listing opportunity. Again, refer to previous podcasts. We did a lot of drill down on pricing, but preview homes in each area and each price range where you're practicing real estate. Take notes on what you get for the money or what you don't get for the money in each area. And practice pricing property with the help of your coach or your broker. Take a subject property and see how your CMA compares with your brokers or your coaches. Take an appraisal class when your qualifying education is due. That's going to help you with pricing. And tour new construction models. Get a feel for pricing on each product from each builder. It's not unusual for me, even with my elite one-on-one coaching clients, maybe they're going on a listing presentation that's maybe perhaps a little out of their wheelhouse. I'll ask them to send me comps. We'll look at them together. We'll remind them it's not just all about cost per square foot. We've got to look at it from many different angles. And I will remind them, even very experienced listing agents, go preview the competition so that you can speak with confidence. It's a very powerful thing to be at a listing presentation and say, Tim, I just wanted to let you know if we were to list today, I went ahead and looked at what you would logically be competing against. I showed myself those. I previewed those homes. Let me tell you a little bit about those comparables. You talk about it, and then you can say, I'm curious, did anybody else that you're talking to mention that they had previewed your competition to check their pricing? The answer is almost always no. It is a competitive advantage.
In a marketplace where everyone's a social media real estate influencer, and in marketing where everyone's got a spectacular brand, what you're going to discover is the money is to be made by having a spectacular skill set. And that's what all of our podcasts are about, but especially in the last 90 days. Agents with the skill sets are the ones that are dominating the marketplaces right now. The agents with the skill sets are not worried about interest rates, not worried about the inventory, not worried about buyer agent commissions, not worried about anything because they have the skill set. They love the headwinds because they have the skill set to make it through. And frankly, their competitors don't. And they're starting to, you look at right now, like Julie's elite coaching clients, they're making more money this year, many of them are, than they ever have even back in 2021 because the competition isn't existed anymore. You wouldn't have had to really know half the stuff that Julie just told you with regards to how to do a CMA in the previous market. Why? Because real estate was selling itself. FOMO was causing sellers to want to hit the cash register. Buyers were worried about not getting their mortgage, not getting the house. All of that has changed now, so you've got to change with the market. You can do it, but don't wait any longer than many of you already have. In the meantime, please do give us a 5-star review and a pithy comment over on iTunes. Let the world know why you love this podcast. Your positive feedback certainly is welcome. Julie and I love to read what a lot of you have to say and what you're benefiting from, and specifically what you're learning, because that helps us to fine tune what we deliver to you on the podcast. So your homework today, if you've not yet joined Premier Coaching, you know what to do. If you've not yet joined HarrisRealEstateDaily.com, guess what? Do that as well. And please do consider giving us a 5-star review over on iTunes. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you on the show tomorrow.